The chamber seemed to swallow sound itself, a structure carved into the heart of an asteroid. It stretched wider than any stadium humanity had ever built, layered in perfect concentric tiers. Seats rose upward like the ribs of some ancient beast, filled with representatives of thousands of civilizations. Scales, carapaces, feathers, metallic shells, all alien eyes fixed on a lone figure walking across the polished black stone floor. Captain Alara Voss kept her pace steady, boots echoing with unnerving clarity. Her reflection ghosted beneath her on the obsidian surface, merging with the glow of the binary stars beyond the vaulted ceiling of crystalline glass. She carried herself as she had on parade grounds and warships, head high, steps measured, no hint of hesitation. Inside, her chest was a knot of iron. She had faced fleets and storms, but never this. The combined weight of a galaxy staring, waiting, judging. At the far end, the dais loomed. Upon it stood the High Speaker, Archon Velith Kator. His body shimmered in crystalline segments, insectoid and angular, refracting light into prismatic shards. His wings twitched with restrained impatience, each movement catching the chamber's glow like splintered glass. When Alara stopped at the center of the circular floor, silence deepened. Velith rose, his voice a sharp chime resonating through hidden amplifiers. "Humanity of soul," he intoned, each syllable precise, metallic. "You stand before the Galactic Council to receive your place among us. The path is ancient, the right unbroken. Those who would join must pledge their loyalty through tribute. You will surrender resources of your world, soldiers to our fleets, and samples of your bloodlines for our archives. This is the price of unity." The words carried across the chamber, translated instantly into countless languages, projected into minds and membranes. Every delegate heard them, and every gaze returned to the woman who bore the burden of reply. Alara felt the air shift as murmurs rippled through the tiers. Some aliens hissed approval, others muttered disdain. A few laughed, a low, grinding sound that made her stomach tighten. She kept her expression still, hands clasped behind her back in the practiced posture of command. Velith's multifaceted eyes glowed faintly, pinning her like a specimen. "Do you accept, child of soul?" The title was deliberate. She caught the faint curl of mockery in it. Alara inhaled slowly, letting her eyes move across the sea of species. To them, humanity was an infant civilization, barely 3 centuries into the stars, bruised by wars, stumbling into spaces others had before them. They expected her answer to match every other race that had stood where she now stood. A bow, a pledge, submission wrapped in ceremony. Instead, she stood silent. A ripple of unease moved through the chamber. Velith tilted his head, crystalline ridges clicking softly. "Perhaps your tongue falters," he said. "Perhaps you do not comprehend the honor bestowed upon you. Tribute is not humiliation. It is tradition. The mighty contribute, the weak obey, and all are bound together in harmony." A delegate from the opposite tier leaned forward, a being of translucent flesh lit, with glowing organs. Its voice burbled like water. "She is afraid. The young species always are. They know what comes to those who refuse." A chorus of alien voices joined, mocking, jeering, dismissive. Alara finally spoke, her voice cutting through the noise with the clarity of command. "I comprehend perfectly." The chamber hushed again, surprised at the firmness in her tone. Velith's mandibles curved in something resembling a smile. "Then you comprehend also the price of arrogance. Those who have refused have been broken. Those who resisted have been erased. Their ashes fertilize the soil of loyal worlds. You need not join them. Speak your acceptance, and humanity will endure beneath the Council's protection." Alara kept her breathing measured, but her pulse drummed in her ears. She thought of Earth, the oceans reborn after centuries of pollution, cities shining among repaired scars, children studying under domes on Mars. Billions lived under skies cleansed by effort, not conquest. They had crawled back from their own brink. They had learned the taste of collapse and clawed survival from its teeth. She thought of the sealed directive from Earth's leaders, read once and committed to memory. Negotiate if possible. Submit never. Velith's wings shivered, catching the light. "Your answer, human." The echo of his demand rolled across the tiers like a drumbeat. Thousands leaned forward. The chamber seemed to hold its breath. Ilara felt the weight of every gaze pressing into her bones, but her face betrayed nothing. She was the point of a spear, sharpened by centuries of human struggle, carrying the silent voices of billions. She let the silence stretch until the air grew taut. Her words, when they came, were steady and unshaken. My answer will be heard. The chamber erupted in fresh murmurs, but she held her ground, eyes fixed on the Archon. His crystalline body gleamed with restrained menace, but beneath it, Ilara thought she saw the faint flicker of irritation, a predator in use of hesitation, facing prey that did not flee. For the first time in the Council's long memory, the ritual of submission did not move smoothly towards expected conclusion. Something had shifted, and every species present could feel it. Ilara stood alone at the heart of the chamber, yet not alone. Behind her stood Earth, scarred but unbroken, waiting for the word that would define its place among the stars. The silence returned, heavier now. Violeta's voice cut through it, sharp as glass. Then speak, and let the galaxy hear what value humanity places on survival. Ilara did not answer yet. She held the silence a moment longer, gaze locked with the Archons, knowing the moment would echo far beyond this chamber. The choice, she thought, had already been made long before she stepped into this hall. And when she opened her mouth, the galaxy would listen. The lights of the chamber dimmed until only a narrow halo illuminated Ilara. The rest of the arena blurred into shadows, tiers of alien forms fading to outlines. It was a deliberate tactic, an old tradition designed to isolate the speaker and remind them of their insignificance. Ilara stood as if she had been on parade ground again, shoulders squared, spine straight. The silence stretched, filling the void with pressure more suffocating than any atmosphere she had known. Violeta's voice carried, crisp and cutting. Humanity delays. Does your tongue falter, or do you seek to insult us with hesitation? A ripple of sound followed in the surrounding seats. Clicks, whistles, guttural growls. Some alien species expressed amusement, others irritation. To them, hesitation was weakness. Ilara inhaled slowly, steadying herself. Her mind reached back, not to the chamber, but to the memory of her own world. She thought of the ruins of old coastlines swallowed by rising seas, cities rebuilt on higher ground, and entire generations who had known hunger yet rebuilt fields and farms. She remembered the grainy recordings of the last great war on Earth. Skies darkened by ash, nations shattered. Humanity had clawed itself back from the edge with bloodied hands, refusing to vanish. Every scar carried forward was proof they had already survived their own extinction once. We do not kneel. We endure. Violeta's crystalline head tilted, his voice slicing through her reflection. Speak, or I shall mark your silence as surrender. Ilara lifted her chin, eyes locked on his. I am weighing your words. Archon, we humans do not pledge lightly. That answer earned a new wave of reactions. A leathery, horned delegate barked laughter, booming enough to rattle the chamber's crystal ceiling. Not lightly, she says, as if her kind's weight means anything. Another, a serpentine being wound around its perch, hissed in agreement. Their kind is fragile, brief. They should be grateful to be offered a place at all. Violeta allowed the noise, savoring it. His wings shivered, scattering shards of refracted light. They are correct. Others stood here before you, species greater in power, longer in life. Each saw the truth. They bent. They gave tribute. They survived. He leaned forward, facets of his body gleaming. And those who defied us, their ashes orbit barren suns. Their names are forgotten. The word struck like blows designed to wound pride. They would have, had Ilara been anyone else. But she had trained herself for this moment. Every taunt, every attempt at intimidation was expected. Her voice was calm when she answered. You mistake silence for weakness. Where I come from, silence is thought before speech, action before noise. That stilled some of the laughter. The delegates, and you, the humans, struggled to interpret the tone, defiance or naivety. Violeta narrowed his eyes. Then enlighten us with these thoughts. Does humanity accept the honor of joining the Council through tribute, or must you be reminded of what refusal costs? Alara did not speak immediately. Her mind replayed her final meeting before leaving Earth, the private session with the Council of Nations. The chamber on Luna Base had been modest compared to this galactic theater, yet the weight of that meeting had felt just as crushing. One of the elder statesmen, his hair silver and voice rough with age, had told her, "If you must stall, stall. If you must deceive, deceive. But never bow. Not here, not ever. You carry the weight of every soul alive, and they would rather face fire than chains." That memory steadied her now. She would not betray it. She returned her focus to the Archon, letting silence itself become her weapon. When she finally spoke, her words carried steel. Humanity does not forget its history. We have burned, drowned, starved, and bled. Every time we were told it was the end, we proved it was not. You speak of forgotten names. Archon, we carry our dead in memory, so they will never be forgotten, and we will not trade that legacy for your protection. A hiss of disapproval rose from several tiers, sharp and grating, yet other voices remained hushed, watching her closely. The unexpected composure of a human unsettled them. Violeta's mandibles clicked, crystalline facets flashing. Grand words, yet they will shatter against reality. Do not mistake your fragile survival for power. This council has broken worlds greater than yours. Perhaps, Alara said, voice steady, but you have never faced humanity. The chamber stirred again, a living tide of reaction. Some laughed in disbelief. Others leaned forward, curious, intrigued by the audacity. Violeta's body stilled, his wings folding against his back with deliberate precision. Your arrogance will condemn you. Alara's jaw tightened. No, our defiance will save us. But she did not speak the thought aloud. Not yet. Instead, she let the silence linger once more. The chamber's lights remained fixed on her, isolating her in the center, but in her mind she saw Earth's blue oceans and red deserts, the glow of orbital stations, the first cities on Mars. She felt the presence of every voice she represented, pressing her forward. She was not alone. Violeth finally broke the pause. His voice rose, amplified until it cut through every corner of the vast hall. Enough hesitation. This council demands clarity. Will your species kneel, as all before you have knelt? The finality in his tone pressed down like a blade at her throat. Delegates stilled, waiting. Even those who had mocked her grew quiet. The moment had arrived. Alara let her breath out slowly, every muscle under control. She did not answer yet. Instead, she allowed her gaze to sweep across the sea of eyes staring down upon her, memorizing their shapes and their silence. Her next words would carry the weight of billions. And when she spoke them, the galaxy would no longer see humanity as an infant civilization. They would see them as something else entirely. The chamber fell silent in a way Alara had never experienced. Not the silence of empty space, nor the pause before a battle's first volley. This was a silence so complete it pressed into her ears, demanding she fill it. Thousands of beings leaned forward, breath caught, waiting for her answer. Violeta's crystalline body refracted the twin starlight above, his mandibles parted in expectation. He had already decided the outcome in his mind. He thought she would kneel, because every species before her had. To him, her hesitation was a final gasp before submission. He misread her. Alara let her eyes travel slowly across the tiers. Amphibians blinked their lidless eyes. Giants of scaled hide shifted their bulk. Insectal species twitched antennae in anticipation. Every gaze converged on a single human, standing on polished obsidian. She straightened her back until her shoulders ached. Violeta's voice cracked the stillness. We await. Speak, human. Confirm your place beneath the Council's order. Her heart beat like a war drum in her chest. She thought of the directives entrusted to her, of the faces she would never see again if she failed. Mars colonists with red dust on their boots, children chasing artificial rain in domed cities, old veterans who had built peace from ruins. Billions were listening, though. They would never hear the sound of this chamber. She opened her mouth, steady as steel. No. The word landed with the weight of a meteor. For a breath, nothing moved. Then the chamber convulsed into chaos. A chorus of voices erupted, roars, shrieks, grinding clicks and piercing whistles. Some delegates surged forward, limbs or wings flaring in outrage. Others hissed disbelief, unable to process what they had heard. The sound was so violent, it seemed the asteroid itself would crack. Velith's crystalline wings shot open, scattering fractured light across the chamber. His mandibles clashed with fury. "You dare!" His voice rang like a blade dragged across glass. "You refuse the Council's right?" Ilara stood unmoving. "I speak for my people. Humanity does not kneel." The storm of noise intensified. Delegates shouted overlapping demands. Crush them. Eradicate the insolent. Test their resolve in fire. Some called for restraint, others for immediate extermination. The hall became a battlefield of voices, every word carrying the weight of entire civilizations. Yet at the center, Ilara remained still, hands folded behind her back. She refused to show fear. Velith raised one clawed arm, and the chamber hushed under his authority. His crystalline frame shone with dangerous brilliance. "You will rescind this word. You will kneel, or earth will burn. Choose wisely." Ilara's gaze never wavered. "We have chosen." Her words were quiet compared to his, yet carried farther, amplified by the absolute conviction in them. Even those who despise her paused at the sheer audacity. Velith's body stiffened, his multifaceted eyes narrowing. "You court extinction." Ilara's answer came calm, deliberate. "We have faced extinction before. We are still here." Gasps rippled through the tiers. No one spoke to the High Speaker in such terms. No one reminded him of mortality. Yet the human had done so with composure sharper than a blade. A delegate of scale hide rumbled deep in its chest. "Madness. They are children standing before giants." Another, serpentine and sleek, hissed in counter. "Children perhaps, but children who do not flinch. Dangerous." Velith's voice cut over them all, vibrating with fury. "You are nothing but dust that has learned to walk. You will bend or be broken." Ilara took one step forward, her voice ringing clear. "We will break ourselves before we bend to you." That statement silenced the chamber again. Not because they agreed, but because no one had expected such clarity from a species so young. Velith loomed, crystalline body, glowing with refracted starlight. "Do you truly believe your defiance matters against the will of the Council?" Ilara's answer was simple. "Yes." For the first time, Velith hesitated. It was a flicker, nearly invisible, but Ilara caught it. The Archon had spent centuries enforcing obedience, wielding fear as his strongest weapon. Now fear had failed. Humanity had stared at the galaxy's demand and replied with a word that shattered ritual. The weight of that single syllable rippled outward, not just through the chamber, but through the Council itself. Ilara could see it in the delegates' eyes. The calculation, the unease, the realization that a precedent had been broken. Velith recovered, voice rising to thunder. "Then so be it. Let your insolence be remembered in ashes." The chamber erupted again, factions clashing in words, threats flying across tiers. Some demanded war immediately, others urged caution, uncertain if humanity's defiance masked hidden strength. The debate became a storm, but its center was already defined by one word. Ilara stood within that storm, unbent. When the noise reached its peak, she spoke again, not loud but measured, her words slipping like knives through the tumult. "The Council asked for tribute. Humanity's answer is no. That answer will not change." The storm faltered. Delegates froze, realizing she would not be coaxed, bullied, or threatened into submission. Her declaration stood immovable. Velith's mandibles parted, his fury incandescent. "You have sealed your species' fate." Ilara met his gaze, calm as stone. "Perhaps, but it is our fate, not yours to decide." For a heartbeat, the chamber was utterly still again. Even the binary stars beyond the glass ceiling seemed to pause. One word had broken the ritual. One word had carved a fracture into the order. The word still hung in the air like a blade suspended by a thread. "No." The delegates erupted again, but this time the chamber's uproar was worse than before. The obsidian amphitheater seemed to quake under the layered roar of thousands of voices, each representing worlds, fleets, and armies. A massive, quadrupedal brute slammed a claw against the railing of its tier, sparks scattering from the impact. "Crush them now." Do not grant insolence breath. From across the chamber, a slender being coiled in coils of translucent flesh, countered with a rippling hiss. Strike them down, and you forge martyrs. The council must not show fear of one word. Arguments cascaded, overlapping, clashing like fleets in battle. War-hungry voices demanded Earth's immediate annihilation, while cautious ones urged strategy, worried that humanity's defiance might conceal a hidden strength. Illyria Voss stood, unmoving on the polished floor, her eyes fixed on Vila Kator. She refused to acknowledge the cacophony swirling around her. To flinch, to show distraction, would be weakness, and weakness was blood and water. Vilith's crystalline wings spread to their full span, scattering shards of refracted starlight across the chamber. Enough. His command split the uproar like a thunderclap. Slowly, voices choked off, the clamor subsiding into a brittle hush. The Archon's faceted eyes gleamed as he addressed the assembly. You hear their arrogance. A primitive world dares spit upon millennia of order. There's only one answer: fire. The brute who had slammed the railing bellowed agreement, a guttural sound like mountains grinding. Others added cries for destruction. Yet not all voices joined. An elder creature with skin like petrified bark raised a hand, voice steady but low. We are not speaking of another vassal world. This species has grown fast. Too fast. Defiance suggests willpower we cannot ignore. Another, insectal and many-eyed, clattered its limbs. Yes, their fleets are small, but innovation sings through their history. Recklessness today could be disaster tomorrow. The chamber split along invisible lines. Old rivalries flared as factions chose sides, some eager to strike, others cautious of the unknown. Illyria finally spoke, cutting through the tension. You fear us. Every eye, every lens, every antenna turned back to her. Her voice was not loud, but it carried in the silence, sharpened by the chamber's acoustics. You wouldn't debate if we were truly nothing. You wouldn't argue if humanity were as weak as you claim. Our refusal unsettles you because you recognize it. You've seen it before, in yourselves, before you were broken into submission. Vilith's crystalline mandibles snapped shut, rage sparking in his eyes. Enough of your human riddles. But murmurs rose in the tears. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others stared at her with curiosity. Illyria let the weight of silence stretch, then added, You want tribute to chain us. We refuse because chains rust and shatter. And when they do, the ones you've shackled will remember who bound them. The murmurs grew louder. Several delegates leaned together, whispering in clicks and hisses. For the first time, she sensed not just anger but doubt flickering in their ranks. Vilith's wings trembled with contained fury. He stepped forward, crystalline claws grinding against the polished floor. Do not mistake debate for weakness. The council will decide your fate, not your insolence. Illyria met his gaze unblinking. Then decide. But remember this moment when history records the first species to say no. That broke the chamber anew. Delegates argued louder, some demanding immediate war, others warning of consequences. The amphitheater became a storm of fury and fear. Vilith raised his claw again, but this time voices resisted, refusing to bow to his command. The chamber no longer spoke with one will. From the tiers, a serpentine delegate hissed, its tone sharp as steel. If humanity can defy once, others may follow. Your demand for tribute grows brittle. Archon. Vilith whirled toward it, crystalline body flaring. Silence, worm, or I'll see your sector stripped to ash. The threat only fueled the fire. More voices rose, not in unity, but in division. Alliances cracked, distrust seeping into the air like smoke. The council was not a single blade, but 1,000 shards grinding against each other. Humanity had driven the first wedge. Illyria spoke again, this time addressing not Vilith but the chamber. You rule by fear. You demand obedience, not respect. Humanity will not be the last to see through it. The bark-skinned elder inclined its heavy head, thoughtful. Others looked torn, caught between loyalty to the Archon and recognition of truth. Vilith thundered, She is poison. She dares sow discord in our council hall. His body pulsed with fractured light, as if he might strike her down where she stood. Illyra's voice cut across his fury, calm and deliberate. I did not sow discord. I speak plainly. Your empire is already cracking. Humanity is only the first to say it aloud. The uproar reached a fever pitch. Delegates shouted over each other, claws, wings, and limbs thrashing. The chamber's air vibrated with rage, fear, and something new. Possibility. Velith loomed, crystalline form blazing with refractive fire. Your words seal your doom, human. Illyra answered without hesitation. So be it. Better doom on our feet than life on our knees. The chamber froze again, struck by the simplicity of her defiance. For all the Archon's grandeur, her human bluntness rang truer than his thunder. Velith drew himself taller, his shadow stretching across her. Then let the record show, humanity's fate is chosen. Illyra did not blink. Yes, by us. The words hung like iron in the silence that followed. For the first time, the Council had no consensus. No single voice could smother the fracture humanity had carved. The uproar had not ended. It had only begun. The chamber's fury did not settle. Voices clawed each other, overlapping in shrieks, growls, and hissing tones. The Grand Council, for all its veneer of unity, had been stripped bare. The fractured humanity's refusal caused spread like cracks through glass. Velith Kator stood at the center. Crystalline wings flared wide, light scattering like shards of fire. His mandibles ground together as he fought to reclaim control. Order! His voice reverberated through the stone, but the delegates were no longer listening. A scaled titan leaned forward, bellowing, "Send fleets! Burn their cradle world!" A serpentine elder snapped back. "And lose half your fleets to a war that gains us nothing but ash? You think other species will not take advantage?" The bark-skinned elder raised its heavy arms, voice deep. "This is the moment we feared. The empire you've built on tribute and fear will unravel." Velith's body glowed brighter with each challenge. "You call it fear. I call it order. Humanity is a contagion. One word, and they spread descent like fire." He turned, fixing Illyra with his faceted eyes. "You will be remembered as a spark that brought ruin to your kind." Illyra met his gaze calmly. "Perhaps, but sparks light more than ruin. They light revolutions." The word rippled through the tears. Revolutions, a word many had buried under centuries of compliance. Delegates shifted uncomfortably, each imagining what their own species might whisper if humanity's defiance spread. Velith raised a crystalline claw, voice hard as glass. "I will not permit your poison to fester. Guards, remove her." A squad of armored sentinels descended the steps, weapons glinting under starlight. Their movement was swift, practiced, yet they hesitated as they approached, sensing the eyes of thousands fixed on them. Removing her would silence the moment, but not the memory of her words. Illyra did not move. Her hand stayed clasped behind her back, posture unyielding. "Strike me down, and you prove everything I've said. Humanity will remember, and so will those who watch." The chamber hushed. The guard slowed. Even Velith's fury wavered, caught between desire for blood and awareness of spectacle. The bark-skinned elder spoke again, voice cutting across the silence. "Archon, enough. Humanity has chosen. Let them bear the weight of their choice. If war comes, it comes, but you cannot erase what has been spoken." Others added murmurs of agreement, some out of sympathy, others out of self-interest, but the effect was the same. Velith no longer held unanimous command. Illyra seized the moment. "You demanded tribute. We answered. You threatened extinction. We answered still. Whether you burn our worlds or leave us to rise, you will face one truth. Humanity does not kneel." Her voice rang clear, echoing through the chamber like a verdict. Velith's wings folded in, fury still burning but now trapped beneath calculation. He saw the Council slipping from his grip, saw that pushing further today might fracture it beyond repair. His mandibles clicked shut, hard as stone. "Very well," he hissed at last, his tone a blade dulled by restraint. "Your word is recorded. Humanity has refused." The chamber trembled with unease. No one cheered, no one jeered. The weight of precedent pressed down on them all. A single world had broken tradition. Others might follow. Velitha's faceted eyes narrowed. Go, human. Return to your world. Tell them what you've done. The Council will deliberate, and when its judgment comes, you will regret your defiance. Ilera inclined her head once, deliberate and steady. We will be ready. She turned and walked the length of the chamber's floor, each step echoing against stone. The silence behind her was heavier than any roar. She did not look back. Outside the hall, the stars burned cold and indifferent. Her escort followed in silence, uncertain whether they were guarding or observing. She felt none of their unease. Her heart was steady now, her role fulfilled. The word had been spoken, and it could not be taken back. As she boarded the shuttle that would carry her back to her ship, the comm channels crackled with transmissions spilling out of the council chamber. Delegates were still arguing, still tearing at each other. Humanity's refusal had become a contagion already, spreading into corners Velith could not reach. Ilera lowered herself into the shuttle seat, eyes fixed on the star-speckled void. For a moment, exhaustion pressed against her bones, threatening to undo the steel she had shown. She closed her eyes, drew a long breath, and exhaled slowly. The pilot glanced back. Ambassador, did we win? Her lips curved in the faintest smile. We spoke. That was enough. The shuttle engines ignited, lifting them into the black. The Council's great chamber shrank behind her, a monument to power that had, for the first time in ages, been shaken. She knew Velith would not let the matter rest. War was possible, perhaps inevitable, but she also knew something had changed today, something no armada could erase. Humanity had not just refused tribute. Humanity had taught the galaxy a word it had forgotten.